Hello, and welcome back to Universal Law Snippets. This is the final one of 2025, and I am going to close out this year with the law of rhythm and acceptance. Now, acceptance is kind of a big theme that I am here in this lifetime to come to terms with and embody and just flow with at a different level. It's taken me a lot of contemplation and a lot of time to get to this point, but I have found that acceptance is a really fantastic way and very integral way to close out a cycle that you were on. Okay. And I know that this is probably going to be a little bit controversial, but ditch the forgiveness attitude and move into the vibration of acceptance, because forgiveness and acceptance are two very, very different things. And one is going to set you free while the other could possibly keep you entangled in an energy that you cannot release for a long, long time. Ask me how I know, because I know. All right. So let's talk about the concept of forgiveness first. Okay. I read in a book several years ago how forgiveness is just it's a false sense of acceptance, because when you are forgiving someone, you are putting yourself in a hierarchical situation, right? You are saying, I was wronged. This person did something bad to me, or this situation happened to me, and I forgive it, but they still wronged me. And the person who wronged you probably didn't think that they wronged you, or if they did wrong you, then they are feeling that they owe you this apology type situation. So it kind of really puts you in this like hierarchical, energetic entanglement that it's really hard to release from, right? Because if we think that someone wronged us, if we don't release that in some way, then we are constantly going to be feeling this victim energy, maybe this martyr energy, and it's going to keep us down at some level, right? And especially if like it was another person, if that other person doesn't think that they did anything wrong and their perspective is like, no, I was just doing this or whatever, like it keeps you entangled in them. Okay. So I have been through this many times, right? As we all have, where I something happened. I think someone did me wrong. I forgive them, but it just kind of keeps festering, even though I do all of the, the cord cutting and the journaling, like, oh, I forgive you. I forgive you. It doesn't really do me any good until I finally accept the reality, accept my part in the situation, accept their part in the situation. This isn't necessarily like talking about taking responsibility, which you should absolutely do too, because that is a very, very healing process and we have to take responsibility for our actions. But it's accepting what the effect was. And then once we accept the effect, it kind of starts to break the cycle. It's not an immediate thing. You can't just be like, oh, I accept that this happened to me and I can move on. There's still a lot of healing and reflection and everything that needs to happen, but you can't move on to the next phase of your cycle or your rhythm until you fully move into, or at least more than fully move into that state of acceptance. Okay. So forgiveness, not even really worth it. Like if you want to forgive just because, it makes you feel better, great, but it's not going to do anything until you just accept the situation and move on. Okay. By accepting the situation and where you are in this current place, you can take a step back outside of yourself and look at what happened from a more observer point of view, you can look back and say, okay, these are the lessons I learned from this. This is who I was, and this is the identity that I had when I was in this particular situation. What did I gain, knowledge or experience or whatever, versus what did not serve me? What do I not want to take on into the future? This is how we break our cycles, okay? We break our cycles by letting go of the past, letting go of the future, and accepting who we are in this present moment. And until we do that, we can't really begin the next cycle anew and with the proper intentional energy, because we're holding on to things of the past, or we are still energetically entangled with that person who we perceived did wrong to us. So acceptance it's the path to freedom, okay? But actually acceptance is the path to universal love, right? Which is kind of really what the goal is anyways, on a soul level, is to, have that deep, deep feeling of love and togetherness and oneness in everything. So how do we get to this state of acceptance? It's very, very difficult, right? It's not a one and done thing. Like I said, it is a kind of a constant reevaluation and a letting go, little bits at a time. It's kind of like it's kind of like when you, maybe this is really showing my age, but kind of those magnet games. When I was younger, there were these little plastic things with it was a magnet at the bottom, and then they had little lead shavings and everything, and you can move it around and make little shapes with the lead shavings because there was magnets at the bottom and everything. And, I would always try to push all of the magnet shavings off to the side because I liked having a nice clear board. But there was always one or two little pieces left that just kind of messed up my entire process and my entire system. And that is that's kind of what acceptance is, right? Sometimes it's kind of breaking it down into little bitty shavings and being okay, I accept this is what it is. I accept this is what this was. And it's a long process, but as you move into that state of accepting piece by piece, then you can start to begin a new cycle, okay? Because cycles, well, they're patterns, right? So they always follow a very consistent flow, right? You have the inspiration, you make the plans to, bring it down into reality, you execute those plans, you reap the benefits, and then you rest and you reflect. We oftentimes as humans kind of miss that last step of rest and reflect. And if we don't take the time to rest and we don't take the time to reflect, then we can never really fully move into that state of acceptance, because maybe we're oh, I could have done this better. Oh, I could have done this better. Oh, I wish I would have made this change. I wish I could have made this much money if I would have done this and everything. But if we just rest, reflect, and be okay, you know what? I did what I did. These are the lessons I learned. I'm going to, move on with different intentions, going in different directions, and then just let it go. It kind of gives our whole energetic field this reset, oh, okay, cool. So we're not holding on to the past. We're not holding on to any of these mistakes that we made or that we perceived that we made or that someone made to us or anything. We're just accepting where we are. And now we have a fresh, clean start, and we can move forward. So acceptance is a very, very integral part of closing out our manifestation loops. Kind of like gratitude, but it's I don't know, it's different, but I don't feel enough people talk about how important it is to live in that state of acceptance. And I'm talking about it just in the terms of the law of rhythm and cycles, but I think that if you have ever, been in a really terrible situation and you were feeling wronged or something, and you forgave and you forgave and you forgave and you mourned and mourned and mourned, you were never really fully able to move on into that next step of happiness and everything until you got to that acceptance phase. And it's not an easy phase. It's simple, but it's not always easy, right? Because our human brains really get in the way of, shifting us to that sometimes. So, if you are looking back at this year, I know these last couple days for me personally have been really contemplative, very profound. I've gone into this like really deep, like, who am I? What am I doing? What is my purpose here? Am I on the right path type situation? And it was really not dark, but it was really deep and reflective and, really lovely right around the solstice and the new moon and everything. And as I did that, I was like, right now, I just accept who I am and where I am at right here at this point. And from here on out, I'm going to move forward in this way. And it just really can bring this nice sense of peace to you, especially if you are, feeling all the craziness of this time of year and everything. So that is what I have to finish off 2025. Just accept where you are, accept your body, accept your mind, accept, the people around you who are triggering you so bad that you feel like you're going to lose my mind. Accept who they are. You don't need to, you can be annoyed and triggered and everything, but they're just people. They are going through their own stuff. They probably have no idea how much they are triggering you. So just accept them, because acceptance is the path to love. Acceptance is the path to loving yourself, to loving others, to loving your place in this world. It's a beautiful thing. So if you can do that, then you are going to be rolling into 2026 with just some amazing energy and a lot more calm and clarity than perhaps you had before. And that is all I have for you this 2025. I hope everyone has a fantastic moving into the new year, and I'll see you next time.